People who are up in the air about Cleveland's contributions to the world only need to fly the friendly skies to experience one of the many ways we have propelled flight forward. Ed Pershey and Tom Perino are ready to take off on how Cleveland landed innovative aeronautical inventions, which are documented in the Western Reserve Historical Society's exhibit, Cleveland, the Air Laboratory of the World. Ed is the Vice President of Special Projects and Exhibits at the Western Reserve Historical Society, and Tom is the historian for Parker Hannifin. So welcome to both of you here for the show.
Glad to be here.
So first, we have to actually make it clear that if you want to see this exhibit, you can't actually go to the Western Reserve Historical Society, right?
Well, we'd like to have you show up, but the exhibit is at the airport in the baggage claim area.
Oh, okay.
We put it down there because this is about aviation in Cleveland, but it's also about how people who fly, kind of everyday experience. Now, how did that come to be?
All right. And the air laboratory that it kind of focuses on really started, though, with automobiles, right?
And Cleveland was the Detroit of America for many, many years. Lots of automobiles were built here, and the industries that supported that industry were very prominent in Cleveland, machine tool companies and so forth. And that technical expertise was then applied to the new technology of aviation.
Okay, so Cleveland was even bigger than Detroit?
Cleveland was bigger than Detroit.
Wow. So here we produced the pieces and parts that propelled the increase in plane production. But our airport also was of interest at that time.
The U.S. Postal Service was establishing airmail routes across the United States, and Cleveland wanted to be the major stop on the New York to Chicago airmail run. And so the city established Cleveland Municipal Airport on the same grounds that the current Hopkins Airport is located. And built on the back of that airmail service was passenger service.
Okay.
And so Cleveland became a passenger hub as well for people who could afford to fly in the 1920s and 30s.
And back in those days, you actually had to like walk out on the tarmac, right?
You walked out of the building right onto the tarmac, and there was fencing around the terminal building, and then you have to wait for your airplane. They would open the gate in the fence, and you go to your airplane. Hence, we still have gates at airports today.
I wondered why they called them gates when
That's
it was
right.
just a door walking down this tube to the airplane. So, and there's also a great story, Tom, that you're going to talk about. Kind of a famous pilot who flew into Cleveland, but he almost missed it. So what happened?
So one night this young guy was flying into Cleveland trying to find the beacon at the airport, and they had turned it off that night. And he was flying over Medina, circling a farmer's field, running out of gas, getting ready to jump out on his wing and parachute down. Finally, the light at the airport started again. The beacon started. He lands at the airport, and he was so upset. He said, "Why did you turn that beacon off?" The guy looks at him and he said, "It was late at night. We didn't see anybody until the farmer called us. We're trying to save electricity, and we're going to turn it back off again now that you've landed." So the young man stayed overnight in Cleveland. The next day, some folks from Parker Hannifin met him, and they were making a coupling for aircraft with Glenn Martin, another famous guy in town. And the young man said he was going to have a long flight over water in the next couple of months, and his name was Charles Lindbergh.
All
and
right.
the plane he was going to build was the Spirit of St. Louis.
Oh, how interesting.
And Parker built the fuel system for the Spirit of St. Louis, and another company in town, TRW, made the cylinders for his engine. So both companies had a big role in helping Lindbergh get safely across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, I had no idea there was a Cleveland connection to...
Yeah, and there are a couple other companies that also from Cleveland, right? The guy involved with Lindbergh?
Absolutely.
Sherwin-Williams made the silver plate for the fuselage.
Oh.
And so, yeah, 3 companies from Cleveland have played a big role.
All right.
In that aviation first.
Very interesting. God, I wish we had more time to talk about it. People got to get out to that exhibit then. So.
Absolutely.
So Cleveland can be proud of its innumerable innovations on land with automobiles, in the skies with airplanes, and even, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but space, helping with some of the rockets and Apollo 13 in particular. It's all documented in Cleveland, the Air Laboratory of the World, on display now at the Cleveland International Airport. My thanks to Ed and to Tom for taking us on this amazing ride. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
To find out more, call the Western Reserve Historical Society at 216-721-5722 or log on to www.wrhs.org.